of your favorite political program, Christians in Politics. I am Smart Simon. Today we shall be discussing the preparation for ONDO and Edo 2020 elections coming up next month. We shall be looking at the dramas happening currently in the preparation for the election and also the influence of Godfatherism and the effect of these dramas in election process and post-election. In the studio to be analyzing the topic before us is Mr. Oluwole Ojewole. He is the Assistant Program Manager, Clean Foundation, Abuja. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
On the program today.
Thank you.
So we shall be kicking off with your take on the preparation for the ONDO and Edo election, and of course what INEC and Clean Foundation is doing.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Simon, for having me here this morning. I think I will look at the preparation from at least maybe 3 broad perspectives,
okay,
or maybe 4. I will look at preparation from what the political gladiators are doing in terms of the political parties, and at the same time the preparedness of INEC. Then look at the preparedness of the law enforcement agent as well, which you maybe consider as police in this sense because they have a preeminent role to play. And then look at the activities and preparations of the non-governmental organizations like Clean Foundation.
Yeah.
So I think to start with, on the part of the the political gladiators, we've seen a lot of dramas, cross-carpeting, quitting a political party, how the primaries have gone, adopting a direct primary in one state and moving into another state, adopting an indirect primary, and then looking at their preparedness, the way they've conducted their primary across board. So I think by and large, political parties, for me, has not really been different from what used to be obtainable. It is the regular experience that you see characterizing every electoral cycle, whether presidential or governorship election. You have a situation whereby a sitting governor was disqualified few days to the election, and you know how that can trigger a whole lot of things if not adequately taken. And then you look at INEC. I think INEC deserves some form of applaud in this regard, because you know, this is the first election that will be is a process, and it has started even from the point of the campaign and the primaries and all those things.
Exactly.
So for the first time we're having an election in the heat of COVID-19, and I think INEC has been proactive enough to develop codes, standard operating procedure that are supposed to guide how elections are to be conducted in the context of COVID-19. So I think in that regard, INEC has put in place solid preparation. But secondly, are the political parties complying with that standard? I think that punctured the preparedness of INEC, particularly if you have followed the campaign, if you have followed the primaries, issue basic public health protocols that are supposed to be overarching, guiding directive. I've not seen the political parties adhering to that.
That's true.
Physical distancing, use of face masks, they have thrown caution to the wind. So I think that has a serious public health implication, and it has punctured the preparedness of maybe INEC, or even I don't think political parties were actually prepared for that. I don't think so. Exactly. By virtue of the drama that we have seen and how they've been going about it. And then the last preparation on the part of the third preparation on the part of the police, especially because police has the primary role in protecting the electoral system, guarantee security and safety for both the politicians and the electorate. We've been hearing from the police leadership that to be conducted in a free, I mean, they will ensure that the election is free and fair. They will ensure the sanctity of the ballot in terms of protection of the ballot and protection of the citizens that have come to cast the ballot. I think we've had enough of that, and I believe strongly that there will be high-level strategic preparedness on the part of the police going on. So we've not really witnessed so much, but we can only count on the fact that the police keep saying that they're on top of the matter. So we can only believe in that regard. And lastly, on the part of the non-governmental organizations, solid work has gone into place.
Yeah.
Claim Foundation as an organization will work on public safety and security, and then our beat in election is on election security. And I can tell you that authoritatively today we are starting our field work in Edo State, which basically is to gauge the political atmosphere, identify the dynamics that can trigger electoral violence, and then see how such can be mitigated so that electoral violence is not the order of the day during the election. And then there are a host of other organizations like YAGAP, PLAC, Center for Democracy and Development, who have also been involved in what you call voters education. Meetings have been held with critical stakeholders, including Claim Foundation, going down to those places. So our work as third sector within the non-governmental organization basically is just to bridge the gap between the government, between the critical stakeholders in the election value chain and the citizens. So in voters education, in research, in advocacy. So preparedness is on solid ground as far as that aspect is concerned from the non-governmental organizations.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Oluwole.
Yes.
Looking at the drama in the executive and the legislative arm of government in ONDO and Edo State, referring to the defection of the deputy governor of ONDO State, plans to impeach him, and also the resignation of SSG of the state, and political saga going on in Edo State House of Assembly. What effect does this have in the coming election? And then what effect does this have on our democracy?
Okay, on the coming election one, I think the omens are not good, really, because what these are suggested to anybody is that party politics in Nigeria is really about self-interest, enlightened self-interest. People are not committed to any ideology. People are not committed to any political party. As a matter of fact, what you are seeing is about who are you loyal to?
Yeah.
Where is your bread going to be buttered? Is it going with this party A or going with this party B? And that is the reason why you see alignment and realignment. And the effect of that is that on the final analysis, if things are not properly managed, you can have a serious fallout that can even have security dimensions, because you now have people who are saying for hate. So it polarizes the society unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Not really on party lines, but on the individual's support that, oh, I'm for the ex-chairman of the political party, I'm for the governor of the political party, I'm for the governor or the sitting governor. In this instance, I'm laying particular emphasis on what is playing out in Edo State. So it's about loyalty to individuals, not really about loyalty to political parties. And I think that is what has undermined democratic development for the past 21 years in Nigeria. You've had politicians who have cross-carpeted from a party A, move to party B, move to party C, come back to party A. I mean, in less than 20 years, it shows that it's all about what platform can take us to gaining access to power. It is not really about serving the people, because if it is really about serving the people, you will see people who are committed to a particular political party. And then secondly, on our democratic development, like you said, it shows that, because like I was discussing with somebody yesterday, just figure it this way: when you see things playing out like this, try to humanize democracy in Nigeria, as in figure democratic development as an individual who, by now, if democratic development in Nigeria is an individual, by now it will be 22 or 21 years. Yeah. Now, just imagine that a 21-year-old child is still crawling, cannot figure out what he wants to do, when by this time he should have probably been completing university education. So it shows that maturity has not come to the political climate in Nigeria. And then look at how, I mean, it's strange really that as a politician, when you were at this side of the divide, you were criticizing this political party, and in less than few days you cross over. So you ask a question. This is not the way to play politics. And we must be sincere with ourselves, because the overarching implication is that younger generations are also coming up, and it is what they are seeing now that they will tag as maybe the best practice available in practicing politics. It's not supposed to be. And I'm very sorry, because some of the times when you make this comparative analysis, we always point towards the West to let people see how politics is being played in that place. It's unfortunate that we don't have any other example apart from that, except parties in Southern Africa. If somebody is an ANC member, for instance, you realize that they've been there for the past 30, 40 years, and they are not going to shift ground. So, but in Nigeria, you can't continue to play politics.
So what is responsible for this?
It's because we are playing politics as butter and bread. You want to just lay up treasures in your pocket, not really about serving. And I'll give you an instance. And that's why I apologize for the viewers, but this is the available example that I can give. Hillary Clinton contested for the president of America, I think that was in 2015, right? And one of the historical accounts that I've read about her, she has been a Democrat right from high school. She has been a Democrat.
Talking right about
Hillary Clinton.
Okay, Hillary Clinton.
She has been a Democrat right from high school. So what it means is that political party participation has to come through indoctrination. And once you are bought into the ideology of the party, there's no going back.
So,
but in Nigeria,
basically ideology. Parties in Nigeria don't have any clear-cut ideology.
I have not seen any clear-cut ideology. I have not syour anyone. So it is just like your Bible. Once you have come to believe what is in the Bible, it becomes a permanent thing that is ingrained in your heart, and it guides everything that you do. So if you belong to a party B now, and you have been faithful to that party for the past 20 years, you are not going to. What is happening in another party is not going to be your business. Because essentially what happens in Nigeria is that we are voting for individuals rather than voting for a political party. If you are voting for a political party, you have seen their manifesto, you know that, and unfortunately, Nigeria departed from that path. If you read the historical account of how political parties developed in the 1940s, pre-independence, post-independence, up to 1979, political parties were run based on ideology. It's unfortunate. So the trajectory we are facing and what we are seeing playing out, when a sitting governor, a sitting deputy governor, has moved to two parties in less than 2 months.
2 months.
It doesn't speak well for the democratic.
All right, thank you so much. Recently, sir, we learned that Dr. Godwin Obaseki, the governor of Edo State, was going for election campaign, and his convoy for democracy, is that peace? Do we think that there will be peace in the coming election?
We are doing here and there, and seizing platform like this to also appeal to our people to embrace civility in democratic practices. But what we are seeing playing out, particularly the example you cited in Edo State, it bodes ill for democracy in Nigeria, where people who attack the election day. Are people now stockpiling arms to execute their agenda on the election day?
We've even seen talks being gathered by one of the candidates and talking to them and all
those
of that.
Those are the kind of dramas that is even pushing good people who have good intentions to go into politics away. Because what you want to think about is that if I will have to go this, I don't think I want to join this. I would rather stay put where I am. So it has a discouraging effect on people who genuinely want to play politics and participate for service to humanity. Yeah. And then the second thing is that when things are playing out like this, it tells you what is likely going to happen during the election. And I think my advocacy on this platform is to security agents to be at alert and ensure that issues of electoral violence can be nipped in the bud. But the omens are there, and the initial signals that we are getting from Edo State in particular, particularly if you look at the drama that surrounded the emergence of flag bearers in the two major political parties in Edo State, it tells you that Edo State is a state to watch out for, particularly as it relates to electoral violence. And we must do everything, particularly those guys that have been hired. You've never seen a child of a politician leading that. So people should, like they use in street language, borrow themselves some senses and then think deeply before you become hired gangs or thugs to politicians.
All right, thank you so much. Will you advise the INEC, I mean the Clean Foundation, which you're part, will you advise the INEC to consider electronic voting for ONDO and Edo election that is coming up, particularly because of the pandemic that is ravaging the world today?
Unfortunately, electronic voting cannot be discussed without considering other factors that are associated with election.
Okay.
If Nigeria had mastered development and we have really made significant progress on the development trajectory, by now electronic voting should have become a regular thing that can be undertaken in Nigeria. But unfortunately, if you get to the point of manifestation before you start preparing, it's going to be a complete failure. We are too close to Edo and Ondo election, while Osun and Ekiti are still far away.
Yeah.
I would think, particularly as the opportunity presented in the COVID-19 crisis, we need to begin to think about how we can pay serious attention to electronic voting, probably come 2023. But why I said it cannot be discussed in isolation is that how educated are the electorate in Nigeria? The category of people who come out on the election day to come and vote, what is their educational qualification? What types of gadgets can they have to vote electronically? Will I have to guide them to say, please,
people are operating ATM here and there, sir?
But my father is not operating ATM, and I have them. Farmers in my hometown in Osun State are not operating ATM, because you have to also look at how many persons are actually captured in the ATM database in Nigeria. What you and I, people in our category, rarely come out to vote. The people that are actually doing the vote are the people in faraway one Arubo Sabwa in Jigawa State, or maybe in Famia in Osun State, Modakeke, where I come from. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm not discounting the need for electronic voting, but we have to look at it holistically. And this is my point. Electronic voting process must be segmented. The idea of electronic voting is to achieve two objectives, at least according to my own understanding. One, how do we meet people at the point of their need? That irrespective of their level of understanding, level of literacy, then we have carved a niche for them to be able to vote. My father doesn't have an ATM card. I send money to him, but the money gets to his hand. So it doesn't matter whether he has ATM or not. What is important is that he gets the money. My father might not be able to operate Android phone or whatever, but what is important is that he can cast his vote, and is in an atmosphere that is devoid of all this rancor of electoral violence and rigging and all those things. So I think what the mistake that we have made in Nigeria is that we have not been able to segment our electoral demographics, in the sense that the reason why people like you or I, the reason why most people don't vote is because they look at the whole heck and everything and say, if I can vote on my phone, I will do that. My father doesn't need to vote on his own phone if he has one.
Okay,
so what is important? You must be able to meet people.
Those who can do this one should do. Those who can do manual.
They do manual. What you're going to have on the election day is that the population is going to be drastically reduced. And then
voters apathy all the time.
Voters apathy will become a thing of the past, and we'll now be able to deploy our resources adequately. When you get to the places where the people that are voted are all these market women and farmers and all those things, you're not likely going to have electoral violence there, because the thugs, the police will not be unnecessarily stretched.
Exactly.
So I think when we discuss about electronic voting, particularly as we look towards 2023, because if INEC has a strategic plan, which I believe they do, what we should be seeing consciously now is how the strategic plan is speaking to electronic voting in the next 3 years, in the next 7, in the next 11 years. That is what we should be seeing. So I think what INEC needs to do, and any other electoral stakeholder, is that how do we segment our electoral demographics? We need to start with that: educated, bankable, internet connected, all those things, and then we can now move in that conversation. But it must happen on or before 2023.
All right, thank you so much. Viewers, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll
There's nothing really bad with having a godfather. Maybe that terminology, Godfatherism, has become a negative term because it's associated with something that does not bring progress. Otherwise, we in the Anglican Church, we have godfathers. We'll talk of godfathers looking at our baptism, somebody that will bring you up in the faith so that you get to that point where you are mature and you are able to stand. That is what a godfather should stand for. But the godfatherism we are talking about today is one that the godfather will want to control everything about you. He will not even leave you who is coming up to find your feet. It is what he will get from you he wants, not what he can give to you. And that is the problem, as it is. Incidentally, the youths too will say, we are not learning from this. After all, those who are the perpetrating godfatherism today, they were once youths, and they had godfathers too. So it looks like the way the godfathers played it for them haven't become the godfathers today. They are playing it that way. But the message we should have for the youth now, we should say that will not take us far. At least this is the time we should begin to make amends. The young ones that are coming now, well, we're happy that in some places, in some circles, in the political circles and so on, people are already fighting against this godfatherism. I think it's a good fight. It's one that we should fight and beat them hands down. That when this godfatherism is done away with, then we can have a good platform to stand and then develop the place.
Viewers, you're welcome back, and we're glad to know that you are still there. We've been discussing with Mr. Oluwole Ojewole in the studio. And before we went on that break, we were looking at the possibility of electronic voting. We want to continue our discussion. Now, with the saying that youth are the leaders of tomorrow, what can you say on your or research on the preparation of the youth on choosing their leader in the forthcoming ONDO elections? Any possibility?
The youth participation in the selection of leaders. Well, I don't think it's peculiar to Edo and Ondo alone. I would rather generalize for Nigeria.
Okay.
Because Edo is just a microcosm of what goes on in the country. I think in terms of youth actually taking the reign of leadership or even participating in the election, the actual effect of the youth that we are supposed to be seeing are not seen where it actually matters now. And what do I mean by saying that? I think the statistics flying around shows that the huge majority of the people that we have within the voters database, or maybe national data, I think, are youth. And what it means is that the youth have the electoral capital to turn things around in this country and elect who becomes the leader. But I think by and large, what we have seen is that the figure is only counting, if at all, if it is anyway, in the polling booth. The data is not really counting in occupying leadership position in politics. Go and check the youth leader of most of these prominent political parties. What is the age of the youth leader there? Somebody is the youth leader at 60. What kind of youth is that? So, the same thing in Edo, ONDO, and all these places. What I would say, which I'm convinced of, is that the present political class is largely lost in the analog age. And political leadership, and the people that can drive digital leadership in politics now, the electronic voting you're talking about, policy implementation, policy formulation, that are 21st century compliant, are the youth. And then if you go to the Senate, the people that are there are the ones that are sleeping. They're not the people that actually have the agility to engage in robust debate. And unfortunately, when we talk about these things, most people don't want to buy into it or believe in it. But the truth of the matter is that if you follow the trajectory of political development in the country, we have completely missed it. Anthony Enaro moved the motion for self-governance in Nigeria when he was below 30. All these Azikiwe was the oldest of the 3 or 4 of them in those days. Tafawa Balewa, Sir Abubakar, Saudana of Sokoto, Awolowo, the 4 of them. Azikiwe was the oldest, and he was just in his 40, I think 42. The others were in their 30s. So if you follow that graph, I think as a nation, the country has really fallen from where it used to be. And my concern is the fact that if you look at the development around the globe, the people that are actually driving the required changes now, they're in their youth. Look at Nigeria. Look at the digital ecosystem. You talk about all these small businesses, IT, digital platforms that are coming up. They are the youth. So the same effects that we have seen in enterprise development, we are seeing the youth to also mobilize the same in politics. Because some of the things some of the agendas that we want to drive in this country cannot be driven by this older generation. And I'm not on this platform to maybe speak or castigate anybody. But the truth of the matter is that it is, see, the future that people don't have a stake in it. In a future that you don't have a stake, your commitment is not going to be stronger.
Exactly.
What I'm trying to say is this. My father is over 70. He doesn't have a stake in the future of Nigeria. I have a greater stake in the future of Nigeria than my father now, because I'm just a young person. So what it means is that if you continue to commit the future of the country to people who don't have a greater stake in it, they are not going to see the need to drive the change that we want. So the youth must not only come out to vote on the day of election, the youth must start pushing to also occupy political leadership. But it doesn't mean that we are looking for every Tom, Dick, and Harry that doesn't have an idea to offer.
Of course.
That is not what we are seeing.
Of course.
Because by a stretch of imagination, what we are also seeing among the youth, in fact, I am of the opinion that we need to salvage what is dying, in the sense that if you go to the university, student unionism, and all these places where are supposed to serve as preparatory ground for capacity development and leadership engagement. Right from campus, people are stealing money in student union. People are using on each other. So when they get to the parliament, House of Rep and Senate, most likely they will do that. That is not the kind of people we're looking for in politics.
So
we're looking for people with innovative thinking, people who have mastered the art of governance, public policy, and that they can drive the required change that we want in the society. It doesn't mean that every youth should now automatically, no. We are looking for people who are full with ideas about how to make significant contribution to national development. So I think in Edo State, for instance, I have not really seen the full display of contestants, but I don't know how many people, at least according to Nigeria's standard of youth definition, which if you pick the NYSC standard, you're looking at somebody hovering around 30.
Exactly.
So I don't know how many of them are contesting in the forthcoming Edo election. But if we claim that the democracy is for all, it has to be inclusive enough so that we start preparing the next generation of leaders. And it starts with equipping the youth and giving them a voice to also participate in the process.
All right, thank you so much. It seems that not too young to run bill that was signed is just a lip service. It's as if it's not working, because even for you to buy interest form, you need some millions of naira to do that. Like for governorship now, you need like some political parties 27 million thereabout for you to buy a form just to indicate interest that you need it. How do you think a youth will be able to gather such resources to indicate interest at all that he wants to be part of what is happening? I think that bill that was signed into law is still just a lip service. I can't see the possibility of it working. Maybe that's because the youth themselves have not, come up to take their destiny in their hands, as you have earlier said. So now, what is your message to the youth in fighting against imposition, fighting against Godfatherism, bringing someone, whether we like him or not, he must be the one to go for us?
Okay.
What will you advise the youth on this?
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, my idea about political godfatherism is not a popular idea, but I will still express it anyway. My thinking is that whether you like it or not in politics, somebody must lift your hand.
Okay.
Somehow, somebody must lift your hand.
Okay.
Whether you like it or not.
Okay.
So, the unfortunate thing about the political landscape is that most times the wrong hand is being lifted. Because there are people that, I don't know which state you are from.
I'm from Taraba State.
You are from Taraba State.
Yes.
There are people that there are individuals that if you know them now and you have political interest, by 2023 you might be in the House of Rep. I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say.
I get it.
By 2023 you might be in the House of Rep. So politics generally, it's about somebody giving you a lift.
Yeah.
But the way it is being practiced in Nigeria is just because of the business dimension of it. You lift my hand, and when you get there, and hands are not being lifted for free sometimes.
Exactly.
There are economic and pecuniary conditions that come with it.
Exactly.
But I think the people are shortchanged when the right hand is not being lifted.
Yes.
That is the greatest undoing of this old godfatherism in Nigeria. There are people, for instance, in my state now, if somebody can just lead me to maybe the chairman of the political party or maybe the governor and say, this boy is interested, he wants to go to the House of Rep, and they look at him and the person is interested in you, you might be on the way to the House of Rep, really. But I think my whole major concern is this overbearing presence of the so-called godfathers who have occupied the space. And another thing is that, godfatherism continue to thrive in Nigeria because political parties are business, like shop for people. What do I mean? If you are rich enough, there are people who are so rich who can register a political party, and it becomes their own becomes their own private business. And some of the smaller political parties that you even see, they are just placeholder. Is the chairman, is the secretary, is the treasurer of the party, And what they are just doing is that a few days to the election, they go to align with maybe the
Party A or
party or
B.
Party B, collect money.
Yeah.
You know, it's just for business. So I think Godfatherism it has come to become a stronghold in Nigeria because of one thing, because political parties lack a soul. A soul in the sense that the political party should be an institution that is inclusive for all and is not owned by individuals. There are few individuals in this country who own political parties. And as long as they own political parties, they will determine who is going to get what ticket. So for the youth, what we need to do as youth now, and I've said it over and over again, I don't think it's about really starting a new political party. If need be, if we can start that and we rally around that, that's fine. But the thing is, people who have genuine intention should infiltrate and take over this platform, these political parties. The people who seem to be owning the political parties now, they will not go, they are not going to be there forever. So if we go en masse to party A or party B, and we start making,
so it's about youth coming out to
participate and take over the structure. See, but you will overrun them. That is just the truth of the matter. You will definitely overrun them. It's just like if you watch documentary. A lion is the strongest among the prey, and then some young lions, when they become stronger, and then they take over that prey. You know, they have their prey, and then it displaces the one that is maybe leading the pack. So it happens in politics as well. Two things you do in politics is either you create your own platform or you infiltrate existing platform. And if you go for the latter, at some point what is going to happen is this: the political parties is going to be owned by all. It's going to be inclusive, and then we can now determine together, not just one person imposing on us that this is the person that you are going to give the ticket, to determine who is going to be the leader. In the olden days, in the early days of democratic experiment in Nigeria, politicians were contributing to finance political party. Farmers, Agbekoya, market women who are members, they contribute. Oh, how many political parties are people contributing now? If your money is not there, you cannot have a say.
Exactly.
So that is the reason why the big godfathers, their money is there, and they have a say. That is it. So youth must be ready to participate in the process.
Youth must be
Power
ready
is not
to
giving.
participate.
Power is not giving.
It has to be taken. Thank you so much. Viewers, for your comment, you can call out the number that is on your screen to give us your contribution on the topic we are looking at. Now, how does Clean Foundation plan to carry out their duties considering the COVID-19 restriction on ground during this election?
Thank you so much for that. I think the number one thing is to start with basic public health protocols that have been put in place in terms of moving from one place to another. So we have recruited observers, and that is what most NGOs are doing in those locations. In Edo, we have recruited 50 observers. 50? Spread across all the local government. In some local government, we have 3. In some local government, we have 2 who move around to observe the election.
Why not in every ward 1?
I think it's resource constraints, resource constraints, but we are doing our best. So rather than moving around to say we want to be there, we are working with state partners, because we have electoral support group that coordinate our activities on the election day or prior to the election. So most of the trainings that we've given to the observers have been virtual. Zoom. We've met on Zoom, provided training about how they are going to go about the whole process. So that is also to limit contact. And then we are also mindful of the COVID-19 protocols, like wearing of face mask. So anyone that is discharging the duty for us is going to be compliant with all those. So what has happened is that the space for interaction has also been reduced as a result of COVID-19. For instance, prior to COVID-19, like election is coming up in Edo, I will have to go. Some other staff member will have to go. But now you are participating remotely. The state partners that are there are taking charge. And then they filter the information into Clean in Abuja. And then we escalate the information, whether it's to the police or HINEC or even maybe the situation room. So what is going to happen is that the work is being done. with minimal interaction. Are people still going to travel? Yes. Are people still going to move from one place to the other? Fine. But that interaction has really reduced. That is the way we are complying with COVID-19 directive in doing the work that we are doing on the election matter in those two states now.
Yeah, but I have a serious concern with the electioneering campaign, particularly in Edo State. If you look at as they are moving from one local government to the other, they don't seem to observe anything. For them, life is normal there. God forbid that a symptomatic person is not there, and then we will be spreading these droplets here and there, and you could just imagine the outcome. So more should be done by the Clean Foundation, the candidates themselves, and the stakeholders. If your NGO will continue to engage them, I think that will also help. Although when it's not coming from the government, when it's not coming from INEC, that is little.
I think the unfortunate thing is that the politicians in Nigeria have just remained who they are. At the beginning of the lockdown, there was a popular actress who had a party in her house, was arrested in Lagos, prosecuted accordingly. What she has done, what she did, which one is worse?
Just hold on, we have a caller online. Kelechiku, please speak up. We can hear you. All right. Thank you so much. We can barely hear you because of network problems, but you can call back so that we can hear you very well. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kelechi. Now, we want to hear your advice. What is your advice to the masses, first of all, then the politicians, and of course the government and INEC in preparation for the forthcoming elections?
Well, my first advice to the masses is the fact that we need to reason within ourselves and live our lives, make our decisions, and carry out our actions in such a way that we don't become tools in the hand of politicians to foment trouble. When we started this thing, it's a popular saying. People will ask the question, when they are coming to recruit you for political legalism and all those things, ask them that, let them put their son forward. The one that is schooling in UK or maybe US, you won't see that. So it's important.
Just hold your thought. The caller is online. Please speak up.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. I just want to comment about this ONDO and the oncoming election.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, what I have to say about this thing that is happening in Nigeria is that if all these godfathers are not eliminated in Nigeria, there will never be peace in Nigeria. So anything, what I think that we can do is that the youth have to rise up. The youth have to rise up and let what happened in Ghana be happen in Nigeria. Because all these godfathers, there's no time they will allow the youth to come up. If they are still there, they will always be causing trouble because they believe that the politics in Nigeria is their father or is their business. They will never allow any youth to come up. And what surprised me is that most of our youth, they will just go out to the field and die for nothing. They make a promise for them, they are going to bring hell and heaven on earth when they win the election. need to find out they are only as a tool to win the election. After which, when they go to the government house, they never look back to even listen to you.
All right, thank you so much. I'm sure you've
wonder
made your point. The youth
allowed
must
in
rise up
cooperation.
because godfathers will not just allow them just like that to come in and then take the power. They must rise up and do what they need to do. Thank you so much, Kele Chuku, for calling in. Now, you're talking about your advice to the masses.
My advice to the masses is to actually not mortgage their future.
Okay, they should not mortgage the future.
And then they must make a wise decision in terms of who they will select as the next leader, particularly in the forthcoming election. And two, people need to talk to their young ones, the youths. I mean, this bread and butter politics that somebody gives you 2,000 naira and you can kill and maim is not the way to go. Particularly when politicians themselves cannot engage directly in the process of maybe carrying gun and carrying sticks and machete and all those things.
Exactly.
So it's important that parents in particular now advise their children, and then the youth should also advise each other. I think to the INEC need to really be on top of their game.
We have another caller online. Please go ahead and make your comment. We can barely hear him. All right, please try again to establish the connection. The network is really very bad here. So, your advice to the INEC?
My advice to the INEC is to be on top of the game. Politicians will always be interested in playing the trick, even up to the last minute. Gerrymandering, rigging, whatever.
Exactly.
So, there's a need for INEC and police to work hand in hand and then not become a tool. INEC officers and police officers not becoming a tool in the hand of politicians.
They have to be neutral.
The sanctity of the electoral process must be in such a way that we can see the neutrality of the INEC and the police. Very, very important. And then election is not war. Soldiers must not be mobilized for election. Election is a civil affair, and I'm saying that to the federal government. Soldiers must not be mobilized for election. It's not war, it's a civil affair. Yeah. So the police has a primary responsibility in protecting the balloting process.
Exactly.
So we have to keep emphasizing that. And then I think to politicians...
Yeah, just hold on before you advise the politicians. We have a caller.
Hello.
Yeah, hello? Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hello.
Sorry. Network issues.
Oh,
all right.
yeah.
Your advice to the politicians.
Politicians will be born again. But that's on a lighter note. I think people should see the transience of power. There have been people have claimed in this country. Yeah. We've had powerful politicians among them. They didn't carry the power to heaven.
Exactly.
So it's important that politicians play according to the rule of the game. And the rule of the game is that no victor, no vanquish. Look at politicians in developed countries. You win, you congratulate, and you move on. I want our democracy to get to that point. If truly you want to serve, your country should not be by force. If truly you want to serve.
Exactly.
So it's important that we embrace, politicians embrace civility in their campaign, in their rhetorics, and then everything that surrounds the electoral process. We need to move politics to that point. Politics cannot continue or remain as cutlasses and broom. No. Politics must be played with civility. That is when we can say that people truly want to serve. But a situation whereby it is seen as business and it is zero-sum game, you don't get it, I don't get it, the society misses on the long run. So it's important to politicians to embrace civility in their rhetorics and in their actions as we move towards the election, if they truly want to serve. And then citizens must watch out for politicians who exemplify such quality in voting for them. It's not the politicians that they say winning is a do or die affair. Yeah. No, 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 no. Qualities cannot be about that. If you don't win today, you can win again tomorrow. But stop empowering the children of the poor illicitly to use them for your own selfish gain. Politicians must desist from that. And citizens must watch out for such politicians who are creating divisions in our society, and then ensure that they don't get access to power.
Nobody must be above the law.
Nobody must be above the law. So the sanctity of the rule of law is very, very important. What we have not seen in this country, which I think we need to continue to advocate for, is a diligent prosecution of electoral offenders. Exactly. We have seen people being prosecuted for corruption and all those things. But people commit electoral offenses, and 2-3 months down the line, 1 week you don't even hear about it. The boys are back on the street. Exactly. So we need to see the judiciary has a role to play here. The police has a strong role to play here. You don't arrest people and we don't hear about them again. Let us see diligent prosecution of electoral offenders. Exactly.
All right.
No matter how highly placed they are in the society.
That's true. Now, shortly before the 2019 election, Mr. President is supposed to have signed the Electoral Amendment Act into the law, but we have not heard anything on that. Is Clean Foundation, is your duty also cut across that? Are you doing anything on it?
Clean Foundation is a member of the Situation Room, which is the largest umbrella body in Nigeria engaging on the electoral process from the civil society perspective. And the campaign has been won. Not only about the last content of the electoral amendment, but a broad-based electoral reform. Electoral voting that you talked about is part of it. Yeah. The server was the issue the last time, because the enabling law in the land doesn't even talk about server. Yeah. So you can't be talking about that. It's not an evidence that is tenable in the court. So we have been on the forefront, together with other CSO, under the umbrella body of Situation Room, to ensure that we have genuine and broad-based electoral reform. But the challenge in Nigeria is that politicians are not committed to electoral reform. And then we must not give up.
Thank you
because I think
so
it doesn't serve their interest.
Thank you, Mr. Oluwole Ojewole, Assistant Manager, Program Manager, Clean Foundation, Abuja. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm very, very happy to be on this platform.
It's really wonderful having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll be inviting you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very good.
This is where we draw the curtain. Please remember, politics is unavoidable and necessary. Until we come your way again, I remain Smart Simon.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and viewers and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the Advent Cable Network Nigeria, ACNNTV.